Our face is meaningless. It is what is in our heart that counts. And it's how our mind develops. So how happens in our heart, we can see clearer what it means. And that allows us then to control ourselves a lot better, because it gives us understandings of ourselves, and therefore understandings how others react, and maybe if you understand them better, why they react the way they do. So all systems are binary, and therefore they're reactionary at the same time. And it's a duality, simple. And the problem with civilization and capitalism and socialism, all their systems, is they want it one way, but there's no other. And it doesn't make sense for any reason. It doesn't make sense. Either some are totally theological, or some are totally anti-theological, and some are just commercial, and it doesn't work because it creates tensions. Because it's supposed to be all about money, but there's enough people who it's not really about money at all, and they're exaggerating how much they need to consume. And this idea that you can be happy with nothing, in a way, is quite true. To say you need a lot of things to make you happy, you've got a real problem with it, as far as some of us are concerned, because the most important what you have is your body and your health, your mind, your agility in your mind, far outweigh anything else as you get older. Because as they're going to bring in new ways of reducing the population, and that is ongoing, and then therefore there has to be another value to this that allows those people who, if people want to be super rich, that's their problem. You want to be super rich, it's your problem. But there's more to the rich also need things, good food, and they can all grow that all that with robots and all that. But there should be a choice of humans that are looked after in a way, but then sign a contract. It's all about contract law, you see. But they're allowed to have a spiritual side to their existence. So when they work a spiritual, intellectual, artistic side to their existence. So you get what you do that way. What you do this way is you develop the commercial side. So it's expedient, it's clever, and it's intelligent, and it's for the 21st century. But then you develop a workforce that's not robotic. It's spiritual in the way it is. It doesn't, as long as it's fed and it's in a loving relationship with whatever it is, and all that, and it can work. There are people who want to work and people who don't want to work. And it's a very survival and the meaning of life and the purpose in life is all based in how much you put in. And the more you put in more different ways, the more you get out of life. Obviously, if you take up painting, you get some more out of life. Play guitar or do jigsaw puzzles or anything, you get more out of life. So there's more, and that's across the board. Basically, rich people got same good habits as the ones with no money, right? So there's already an agreement there. The people who don't care about all that money never, stop back. There's other things to do, there's other things to do. Hang around boardrooms, there's other things to do, but they still want a life, and the life is based on sort of music, art, literature. They're not all idiots, not illiterate idiots who run the world. They're extremely well read, and into science and art, and a big degree, of course they are. That's how they can control it, by understanding it. But there are other people who are not in there, but we understand it as well. And I'm saying there needs to be some sort of a meeting or last in, let's just at last, in that there's, instead of conflict, this settles, you can do away with conflict overnight. This is about real power. Not pretend power where you used to use arms. This is about real power where you use the mind and the heart. Right? And it's more powerful because it becomes generational and improves that side of society that is spiritual. So it becomes, you can build more pyramids, or you can do that sort of thing with it. and it gradually leaves behind those who aren't fit into the more spiritual side of work, which is working in the countryside, looking after this planet's nature, cleaning up the oceans. All those things need to be done, that's for certain. If people want to reduce CO2, reduce it, but do it without harming humans. If they want to harm themselves by overindulgence and illnesses, that's their business. But let people who don't want this vaccine join this new way of being, and so they can have the vaccine. That's up to them. But this new way of being is not about the vaccine. It's about not having it. If you want, you will take your risk with that, because it also allows you to develop immunity. And the reason I'm saying that is because you will regret, without any shadow of doubt, not. You think you can artificially increase immunity, but I doubt that. In the end, it's a corrupting force, and now you correct it. It doesn't take long to get mutation meltdown, but if you improve a human system and improve the human by itself is improving, because it has faith in a system that he doesn't have to hang around inside in boards. He doesn't want to do that. He might not want to be indoors. He might not want to be that, but he still wants to be, it needs to be occupied. And there's all sorts of things that can work, a therapist, physiotherapist. I'm not taking money away from anyone. I'm saying there's another way of doing it. It's a better way of doing it. There's all sorts of things that can be done, and all the gardening, landscaping, big landscaping, global landscaping, all these things can be done. There's money. Oh, we've got a lot. Oh, Bill Gates is richest planet in the world. And what? Well, why isn't he putting a festooning across the Sahara with a lot of other people and tell the water from the ocean, so when it's rising, it's filling it in, isn't it? And then you can use the water. If the water's going to go up, find some low spots and pour it in there, and you start building up on the system. But rather think humans are a nuisance. Those that want to work and know that life's about what you put in should be left alone. And that way, there's a joining, because there's no difference between the corporate sector and those sector in one certain aspects. They look after the health, they look after the mind, and they try and look after somehow there's some sort of contract there with something higher than them. There's something then for those people who are not into that corporate stuff, but are more into the sort of other side. There's something higher for them, whatever it is. It doesn't have to give a name. It has no name. It's higher than everyone on both sides, because it's just what is. Nature is like that. There. That's the duality. I mean, these people are such good scientists, and yet they've never really studied the atom at all. It's balanced. And at the moment, because of that, they're out of balance. The whole thing's out of balance. And so it really needs balancing. Those that aren't willing to put in or let themselves go and all that, well, I don't, it's up to them to decide. And those people who say, okay, we need to think how we look after this world a lot better without all that consumption and all that. And everyone needs to deal with that part of it, to reduce the burden and to reduce population naturally, and then to build up of what we got into another future altogether. It's another future without conflict, without doing all this, whatever it is people think they can do. None of it makes any sense, does it?